American liquor sales have plummeted since some provinces began boycotting and pulling U.S. products right off their shelves in response to Donald Trump's tariffs. For one American company, the loss of the Canadian market has forced them to move production north of the border. Phillips Distilling Company is moving production of their drink, Sour Puss, to Montreal. The company, which sold more than $23 million worth of product in 2024 alone, says the move will bring them closer to their core customer base. The move represents a rare win for Canadian manufacturing in a tariff spat that has seen automakers and others announce plans to move production south of the border. For more on his company's decision to shift production to Canada, Phillips Distilling Company CEO Andy England joins me now. Nice to meet you, Andy.
Nice to meet you, Rosie. Thank you.
So tell me how this decision came about. Why did you decide this was the right move for you?
Well, I can tell you, when you go back to March and all of a sudden the tariff war broke out, we had no idea, obviously. We planned for a good year in Canada, and in March the tariff war broke out, and all of a sudden it resulted in us being off the shelves in many of the major provinces in Canada. So we were essentially out of business in much of Canada overnight. And I can tell you right away, we started thinking about how do we solve for this? And that's what led to us exploring Canadian production.
And how important has the Canadian market been for your company? I mean, I know in Alberta, the LCBO is a huge purchaser of alcohol.
Yeah, so Canada is important to us. We only really operate in two markets. We operate in the US and Canada. And so we have a good business in Canada. We like our business in Canada. It's been stable. We have opportunities to grow. It's an important market for us.
So you decided you were going to try and find a place to produce in Canada, and what will be the advantage of that? Yeah.
Well, so going all the way back to March, we started saying, okay, well, perhaps we need to move production to Canada. Let's go look at our options. We identified 19 possible plants that could manufacture our products, and we narrowed it down to 3. And then we did an RFP. I actually visited Station 22 in Montreal in May, and we had determined that that was the right option for us. They had the right capabilities. They wanted to partner with us. And so since then, we've been preparing for production, obviously negotiating the contract and terms and all the rest of it. I signed a contract a month ago, and we started production on Wednesday, and we're excited to be Canadian made from now on.
So that means that it will be sold on store shelves. Have you got that guarantee from different provinces?
We don't have that guarantee, and it's up to each of the provinces. The LCBO, obviously in Ontario, the SEQ in Quebec. It's entirely up to them what they stock, and which is one of the reasons why the premiers were obviously able to take our products off the shelves. But we beseech them to take our products back, and we think we have products that the Canadian consumers love, and we hope they see it that way too. And obviously, we believe we're helping the Canadian economy by moving manufacturing up there, so we hope they see it the way too, the same way too. But we have no control over that.
No, of course, yeah. Is there an impact though on your manufacturers in Minnesota? Or is it hurting on the other side of this?
A little bit. What I will tell you is that we happen to be moving this business at a fortunate time. We've been picking up a lot of business in Minnesota. So I've literally had company meetings where I've said to the team in Princeton, Minnesota, hey, look, the bad news is we're going to take over 150,000 cases out of this plant. The good news is I think I can replace that. It's the right thing to do for Canada. We'll take care of what's happening in Minnesota, and it appears to be playing out that way. So, but it's a really important question. But we had no choice. If we hadn't been picking up replacement volume, we'd still have had to do this, I think.
Part of Donald Trump's gamble, I think, is to try and bring manufacturing production back into the United States. That's sort of part of the goal of the tariffs. And I wonder what you make of that strategy and how the trade war overall is sort of affecting your business and your business relationship.
Yeah, well, Canada has been by far the most important impact, right? Obviously, being taken off the shelves in major provinces decimates our business. So that's been a major problem. But we import tequila, we import coffee for our Camorra liqueur from Mexico. We import glass from China. We import scotch. So there are many. It's a multifaceted new challenge. But Canada has been, job one in terms of how do we find the right solve for Canada. We've been on it since March, and we're delighted with the solution.
Was there any I don't know, hurdle or challenge about moving production to Canada? Because there have been questions about how investment friendly this country is, that the government's trying to ease some of those things, but I wonder whether there were any things that you had to consider differently because of that.
Well, first off, I'm the CEO of a privately owned company, which I don't own, so I needed to get the permission of the owner and the board, or at least the approval. They're very supportive. I would say the change in tax situation for us took some head scratching. We probably spent 2 or 3 months working with PricewaterhouseCoopers to figure out what does this mean from a tax point of view. So there are certainly some complexities like that. But beyond that, Station 22, where we're moving the business as a private company, they are very pro doing this. We're very pro doing this. So, from a business point of view, it's a no-brainer. It's just a matter of working through the details.
Do you think that this will be an anomaly? I know this is, in the case of this company, it makes sense. But do you think that it makes sense for other companies as this tariff war drags on?
That's really hard for me to say because, this is not, to be clear, this is not a political decision. This is a business decision. Yeah. And as a businessman, I look at the numbers, and the numbers say, it's something of a no-brainer where we have no chance of being on the shelves in Canada without doing this. So I've got no guarantees we'll be on the shelf when we do this, but hopefully people will relent on that issue. How does it look for other players, either in our industry or other industries? It's very difficult for me to say because every situation is unique. Sure. If you take the liquor industry, for example, the fact that the Premier, because of the control nature of liquor, the Premier in each province really has the option of taking it off the shelf. That's not something you really have the option on, I wouldn't think, in most other industries.
No. Andy England, a little early for us to be talking about Sour Puss, but very good for us to be talking business this morning. Thank you so much for making the time for us. We appreciate it.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Let's go.
Andy England, CEO of Phillips Distilling Company. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.